everyone, my name's Zoe. I work for Farm Focus. This is module 2, so this is running through our reports and our budgeting plans. This is the dairy, so we will be going through our dairy forecaster. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off within our plan, which is our timeline. So just over here we have, if I expand it, you can see we're in plan. If I de-expand it, we can just go straight into plans. This brings us into our timeline. So here we can see we've got our actuals, which is last year's actuals. We've got our current working plan with our revision line sitting there, and then we've got next year's budget. And below that, we've got our baseline. So this is a read-only report of our budget. So we can't edit it, but it's just basically a screenshot of what our budget is sitting at. And then we can have our draft plans. Now, if you have recently switched over from Cash Manager Rural and you can't see your budget sitting up here in the main working plan, your budget will be sitting down here as a draft plan. So all we need to do is we need to click the 3 little dots and click Set as Working Plan. And that will upgrade that up into the work plan, and the empty plan that's sitting up here will then drop down. So these 3 little dots are seen throughout the whole system. So here we can see if I click on the main working plan, we can set a read-only baseline, which like I said is just a screenshot. And we can duplicate this as a draft. So I can click that, and then we will see a draft pop up of that working plan. Just down here, which says copy of 2021-22 working plan. So I can click in there and we can edit this as much as we want, but it's not going to affect our current budget. So if we've got, we're thinking about leasing a farm, or we're going to buy something, some more stock or anything like that, we can set this in our draft budget without it affecting our main working plan. So we'll jump straight into this main working plan here. So this is our budget up to date. So we can see that at the moment it's just sitting at the end of December 21. So we have our revision line. But everything before the revision line is up to our actuals, and everything after that is our plan. So all of these, I can set the revision line all the way back to the beginning of my financial year, and we can just see all our budgeted items, or I can put it back to December 2021. We do also have the effect of current month at the moment, but because I haven't got anything entered in my invoices screen, if I did have any invoices sitting on my needs action screen, they would flow through into current month, and we would see exactly where we're sitting at that financial month. I'll set it back to end of December where I'm up to. So if I want to edit anything, I can just click on any of these. And we've got our little chevrons over here again, which once again I've just seen throughout the whole system. The 1 chevron, we can just see our categories. The 2 chevrons is expanding out to our parent codes, and then the 3 chevrons expand out all down to our extended codes. Now, if I don't want to see those, but I want to drop down one, I can just click back to my parent codes and use those little triangles again, and we can see our budget of those extended codes. So if I want to create a new plan, I come back into my timeline. I can either click new here, and I can create an empty plan, create an actuals and plan. Then you can see I've got my revision date end of 2021, or my actuals, and I can select which year of actuals I want to do. So I can do an actuals, end of date, create plan, and that will create a plan for my 23-24 year, and we can see that's just sitting there. So I go back to my timeline, and we can see that I've got my budgets all sitting here, and I've got my timeline going throughout. So I can keep going, and I can create as many plans as I want to, but I've got my 4 years sitting in front of me. We can click back into our main working plan again. If I want to compare, what I'll do is I'll set my revision date right back, and I'm going to take a baseline. So if I extend out my codes, I'm going to take a set read-only baseline, and I'm going to confirm, And so this, like I said, it basically takes a screenshot of everything that's here, but I can't edit it. So if I go back out, we can see it's just there, so I can take me there. This is the baseline, so we can't edit anything. We can view, but we can't edit. So if I go back out of there, back into my working plan, and I'm going to compare my data to my baseline. So I'll set my revision date back up to now. I'm going to use this little mirror up here, which is called compare data. I'm going to compare a plan. I'm going to select this year and select my baseline and apply. And you'll see that I've got my actuals on the top line. As if you're in Cash Manager Rural, this will be very familiar. I've got my actuals on the top line and my budgeted items on the bottom line. So that is comparing my baseline. We can scroll down and we can see this throughout. If I want to compare it to, I can just click an X off there. If I don't want to compare it to that any longer, I can click on my mirror again. I can compare a plan, and I could do last year's. I'm going to do last year's actuals and apply that as well. Perfect. And we can see that that is applied last year's actuals. Now, if you are familiar with the budgeting in Cash Manager Rural, we could copy line 2. So we can see that for the truck cartage last year, I had $500. Copy line 2, and I'm going to apply that. Awesome. And now we can see that it's applied. We can do the same here. Again, click on the 3,900. There we go. Copy line 2 and apply. And we now can see that it's copied that line 2 and it's popped it up. So that will be very similar if you use that function within Cash Manager Rural. I can once again just exit that out again, just taking off that comparison, but we can see that information that I just copied will stay there. If I want to add in I'm going to sell my bull calves, but I can either click add, and this will just take me into the worksheet. So I could go ahead and I could put in my, let's just say it's going to be 5, and I can go kgs, let's go 250, price at, let's go per head at 1,050, and then it's going to calculate the amount. I can go add, and we'll see that pop up there. So I'll exit out of that, and we can see that that amount is there. If I don't want to go ahead and write in that worksheet, I can also do the same with the R1 bulls. I could just type in my amount and click enter. If I wanted to, let's add one into feed sales. If I wanted to add in something here, I could go 5,000, and I could spread that across the remaining months. So I can set it to overwrite existing items or add to any existing items. So I'll apply that as to overwrite, and we can see it's now split out $1,000 per month within there. If I want to, we'll pop in say 2,000 there, and I want to copy. If I want to copy 2,000 throughout the next couple months, I can either set it to 1 every month, every second month, or every third month. So I can go every second month for 4 months and apply. And we can see then it's applied to every second month within my budget. If there is anything that we want to edit before then, once again, we can just set back our revision line, and I've set that back to November so we can see where that's sitting there. Put my revision line back to December where we're up to, and we've got all our budgeted items sitting there. So within the budgets, you've got all of these little emblems up here. So these all have little information within them. Of course, the printer, that just means we can either print this budget or download as a PDF. The compare data, as I mentioned before, to compare your line 2. We have a filter option, which means we can filter by our enterprise or management tags. So we can click on there and we can just see our beef block contracting, or we can do our cost tags, so we can just see how much money was spent within there, those. So I can click on that one, and apply just my enterprise. So this is my management tag, and I can see just how much money I've spent within that management tag. I can clear that and apply again, and that will set it back to my original budget. We then have our little I here, so this gives us the option to have as much information here, so I can put remaining budget, stock on hand. We can either have nothing selected or as much as we want selected. So apply. Also within there we have show financial year items. So if I click this gives us the equivalent of 13th month. So we can see here I've got a little blue flag that says that 2,340 was from a previous financial years. And we can do that also within here. So it's got our future years and our last years. So we've got the same here. So it will be flagged. So when we go into the next financial year, they will be flagged there again to say that was put in the last financial year. If we don't want to see that, I can just go back to my little I again, unclick and apply, and that'll take away that equivalent of a 13th month. And we've got a little keyboard that just gives us little shortcuts if you do want to learn some shortcuts. Then we've got our settings cog. Click on our settings cog, we can have our plan name. Adding in a description, I recommend popping in a description, because if you do downgrade this to, if you've got another budget that you want to upgrade, you can pop in a description, because that will keep flowing through so you can see exactly which, like if you want to pop a day in that you created it, the reasoning, pop that in and that will flow through continuously. And you can pop in your little GST refund or payment. There's a little I there if you want some information about it, it'll pop up. Now livestock. If you have come over recently from Cash Manager Rural and your livestock was a little bit out of place or hadn't quite been amended, you can come into your working plan, click on livestock in the settings cog, and use once again the little arrows and drop down. So we can add in any opening or close. So we can't edit the closing, but we can edit the opening. So I can come in here and I can pop in that I actually had 150 opening balance for my bull calves. I can save that, and once you come into the livestock page, it will be flagged to say that my opening number was adjusted because my last year's closing balance was 0. So it will let you know that there is a difference, but if you're pretty certain that that was what the amount was, that will be it. Once again, we've got our little I within here, so I can take away my stock units and monthly balances and stock on hand. And that just goes back to what it is. If I've got show my stock units down here, you'll see that this pops up back down here on the bottom line underneath my bank accounts. So if we're in the livestock screen, we can see all of our actuals up to date. I can drop down my bull calves, and if we want to, we can add a non-financial event within this. We can't obviously if it's a sales or a purchase, but if it's a death, a missing, etc., I can go in, I can add in one and save that. And that's going to come up that I've got one missing in June. We can see everything else sitting here. Like I said, we can come in here, and if I'm expecting here, I'm expecting 17, and that's going to upgrade. If you've got breeding, you can click on the 3 little dots and see the breeding percentage sitting here. You will be able to see our aging up. So we can see here our R1 heifers have now gone up to an R2 for next year. So we've got our closing of what the 1-year-old heifers or R1s to the R2 sitting here. Once we've done all of that, we can come into the dairy forecaster. So if you want more than one dairy forecaster set up, this is just to do with your milk production code setup. So if you are wanting another one, all you got to do is go into your codes, add another code of MP, and then pop it in, and this will pop up here. So I can go into this season's milk production. We can update Vonterra prices. We can come up into our settings as well, and this is where you'll set up everything. So we've got the default working default bank account, the farm working bank account, my dairy company, so I can have each dairy company as I want or other if it's not listed here, the farming type, the share percentage, and once again, I can attach that management tag if I need to. So we can see what my actuals are sitting at, so what my milk solids per kg are and what I've got budgeted. And we've got the base advance that sits there and that updates along with everything else. So that as you go through the year, you'll see this number change. This one here will go through and change again. We can edit any of our budgeted ones if we need to. But yeah, as it automatically goes through and updates the Fonterra prices as well. So all your budgets are GST exclusive as well, so do bear in mind that they are all exclusive. If we scroll right to the bottom, you will see all your GST component down here. So we can go through, we can add either just type it in as you would, or if you need to, we can click add and we can do the worksheet. So if you want a really quick budget, you can go ahead and just type it in and do the worksheet later. But if you want to get in the correct details, you just got to click add. Perfect. So that is basically an overview of the budgeting. Now I will go into reports. So we've got the analysis by code ABC report. This is probably one of our best reports to get any data you need to. So I'll click into there. We've got our year set, our date range, and for the month, payment or financial view. So I'm going to click payment view and apply. So we can see everything here. Once again, we've got the little chevrons to be able to extend everything out if I need to. If I extend it right out, then we can see the transactional dates. As you can see here in red, this is set for your accountant to see that these have not been mapped. So we can see here that we have the numbers, that is your accountancy codes, but these ones have nothing attached. But I can flick back to farm. We've got all these show or hide, so you can have as many columns as you want or as less as you want. We can either change it between cents or if we want cents. We can apply that and we can see that those accountancy codes have now disappeared. We can print this as well. We can export it to a CSV file if we need to. We can download a PDF or we can print it. Click on the little eye, as I said before, select or deselect as much as you want. Again, same as the budget, we have the filter option. We click on our filter, so we can filter by our code. So if I just want to see my beef income, I'm seeing beef. If I really want to get into it, I can click on that again and pick which code I want to. I can apply that and we can just see my beef sales and write down to the beef codes. If I want to filter by bank account, if I had multiple bank accounts, I could. And once again, the management tag, I can select my management tag, apply that, I'll take away my codes, and I'll select all, and then I can see everything that is applied to that management tag. The settings cog, and that is just the same little screen that pops up when you first come into this report. Now, please bear in mind when you do start putting on these filters, etc., if I go out of this one and I go into the Cashflow Detail report, we can see that it has kept that filter that I had filtered in the last one. So if I go back out of there, we can see it's kept my filter options that I wanted, but I can go in there, I can clear all and clear that as well. I go to my cash flow detail report. It's basically a list view of what your budget is sitting at. You can once again print it. Select the little eye, we can see as much or as less as we want to. We can show GST exclusive or inclusive. So if you do want to see your budget inclusive, as I said, your budgets are exclusive, you can put GST inclusive, and then we can either select our additional notes and cents if we want to see them as well. Also can filter for as many codes or bank accounts or tags as we could before. And if I select the settings cog, it's just going to bring up that panel that comes up as soon as you come into this plan. So can deselect or extend it out as much as we want, and we can see those transactional dates. Cashflow summary report. This is just a basically printable version of your budget that we've seen before. All these reports do have a quick overview of what they are on each tile. We've got the economic farm surplus of the EFS report. So like it says, the track of profitability of your own farm and business is the key KPIs, including earnings before interest, tax and rent. So when you've got your code set up, these do need a KPI attached to them, and this is where they flow into. So I can have my actuals versus plus plan, my year, my revision date or my revision month, and my milk production, and apply. And this just brings up all my information within these key performance. I can set my adjustments. So I've got my beef and my dairy adjustments here. The milking and breeding, if I want to pop them in there, the percentage. Other adjustments as well, and the hectares. So I can edit my hectares as well if I need to. We can filter again, and if I click the little eye, I can see as much or as less as I want to on the screen. So we can see, especially when we scroll to the bottom, we can see what my hectare per dollar is, my stock units per dollar, kg per milk solid dollar, milking animals dollar. It's just all in this report. We can drop down, see exactly where that money is coming from with those extended codes. So like I said, this is all set up within your code. So if you do find something in here that shouldn't be in here, do see whether or not the correct KPI is set up to the correct code. Settings cog again, as we came in. If once you select milk production or if you're meat and fibre, this will stick. You won't have to keep selecting them. You just apply. If I want to again, I can click on my beef block enterprise, and it's just going to filter out the enterprises. Perfect. If I want to, because my lease block is different, hectares wise, I can pop in there and I can put in my 40 hectares and save that, and that is just going to change the hectares to go with that in enterprise, especially if you've got say 2,000 hectares here, but then your lease block is only 1,000 hectares, then obviously the overall is going to change. So that's why we recommend going up there and just checking what the hectares are. That is the EFS report. All of these reports do have a really, really good Help Centre article about them as well. So if you do need a little bit of information, a bit further on, definitely jump into the help article that you need to. Profit and loss is what it is. If you have a summary of a total revenue minus expenses of adjustments of your financial year. Tax invoice summary, age debtors report. You go in there. If you're doing a lot of tax invoices, you can see exactly where you're sitting, who's overdue, what tax invoices are due now, etc. Your trends, this is just showing, you can see up to how many years you're wanting to. I've only got 2, but if you've got more than 5 years sitting there, you can filter between those years. And then we've got our variance and year-to-date variance. Your GST return, this is, if you did watch Module 1, you are aware of this, but if you didn't, you click into your GST return and you'll see that this is where all our GST returns are done. So this one is in preview because this is the GST that I'm due now. I click into it. I've got all my information. I can print off without or with coded lines. All my coded lines are down here at the bottom. As you can see, I can filter by all these descriptions. Most parts in this program, if you click on these headers, you will be able to filter through. And then I can click on my little drop-down arrow as Save Final and File with IR, which files it directly within the revenue. Then we've got the livestock rec. Everyone dreads the livestock reconciliation, but I find that in Focus it is really, really easy and it makes it all so much more simple. So I've got my actuals versus plus plan, my actuals or plan. So I'm just going to select my actuals for this year and apply that. And we'll see all my, I'll just take away my tags because we could see my tag was attached from my management tag. So now I've just got my actuals for this year so we can see everything here, what my opening balance was for my bull calves, how many I've purchased, my deaths and missing, the year end, and that, so we can see it's aged out from bull calves and it's aged into R1 bulls. And so it's a nice, really nice view to read. I don't find it confusing at all. It's very, very simple. If you do want to keep this updated as much as possible, it is really good to just jump in once you know if you have had any missing or deaths, or as soon as you've sold something, just update it throughout. It makes it a lot simpler. Can print this again, filter. So like I said, I can just filter between my beef and just see my beefies on, or just see my dairy. And I can filter by my management tag once again. I can, if I click on the settings, it just takes me back to that first panel that pops up. And there's my livestock rec. Livestock summary, that just once again is the same as the cash flow summary, it's just a printable version of your budget and your livestock. And then the livestock trading. So track and measure physical production per effective hectare for each stock class. So it is exactly what it says. It's held that I've been looking for my actual, so it's held that that's information I'm requiring. Apply that, and we can see all of our information here, carcass weight, values per head, etc. And we can scroll right to the bottom and see the total farm production per hectare is 906 for the carcass weight, and the values are 1869. Once again, we can click our chevrons and we can drop down or expand it back up or expand it back down. We've got our adjustments, so I can change my hectares if I need to. I can filter either just both of my stocks or just one, and filter my tag. Then down here, we've just got the accountant's annual and export to general ledger. Now, the export to general ledger is just only for your accountants. The accountant's annual report is too. If you do need it, you can just click straight into it. But we can see this is all basically for accountants, and we've got all our sections. We can display all sections if we want to, but now you can see my how long my pages are. So we usually just keep it to one section and work throughout one section as we go. But like I said, this is mainly just for your accountant. Awesome. So this is just a quick overview of all your reports. If there is any reports that you do want to find a little bit more of, click into our help center or come back into our chat bubble. So if you're not aware, we have a chat system as well. So if you get on the phone and we're a little bit busy and you can't get through, just come in here and send us a message directly. So we also have the help center in here. So I can just go to ABC, and that's going to bring up the analyst by code. So as I'm working, I can have this up. I can go into my ABC report, and I can also have this sitting there so I know exactly what I'm reading. I can expand it if I can't see it as well, and then de-expand it, but I can work whilst I'm in here. So I can select something and it's not going to disappear. Definitely recommend going and checking out those help articles on them if you do want a little bit more information. Otherwise, get in touch with our team. We have a really, really good help centre team. Give us a call, send us a message, go onto the help articles. We're all here to help, so don't hesitate on helping. So that's Module 2 for the dairy. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for watching.